Think you know everything about cars? Guess again. Today, we are going to take a stab at some of the most popular car myths the internet has to offer. From the dangers of not changing your oil every 3,000 miles to washing your car too much damages the paint. On today's episode of 5 Weird Things. Welcome to the channel. Now first, like, subscribe, share the channel. Now the fun part about researching this video is that I have heard all of these car myths online, most of them even before this kind of useless information was available online. So watch the video, see if you can come up with some car myths I missed. Tell me down in the comments. All right, let's get into it. First, the things we all need to know. A car myth, by definition, is a well-loved, usually humorous belief about cars that has absolutely no basis in reality once you do the research. It's that juicy tidbit of knowledge passed down through generations. Usually the myth somehow benefits or justifies something the person saying it believes. Now these myths often get passed around as if they're sacred truths, when in reality, they're just a verbal chain letter that trolls pass along for their own enjoyment. So the next time you hear one, just nod politely and do the opposite. Everybody got that? Good. Weird thing number 5. The 3,000-mile oil change myth, because who doesn't love wasting money? Now, the oil change rule of 3,000 miles is a beloved piece of outdated advice that refuses to die. Much like fax machines and cargo shorts, somewhere along the way, people started believing that if they didn't rush to the nearest oil change shop every 3,000 miles, their engine is instantly going to turn into molten metal and fall out of the car. Spoiler alert, it won't. Now, back in the distant past, think ancient times like 80s and 90s. Cars actually needed more frequent oil changes because oil formulations and engines weren't as advanced. But today, with synthetic oils, high-tech filters, engines built to last, most modern engines can go minimum 5,000, some 10,000 miles, even longer before they need fresh oil. Of course, oil change shops love this myth. Why wouldn't they? The more often you come rolling on in, the more often they get paid to pour perfectly good oil down the drain. Meanwhile, your owner's manual, that book that you definitely haven't read, tells you exactly when to change your oil, and spoiler, it's not every 3,000 miles. So unless you are driving a 1975 Buick Rust Bucket held together by baling wire and duct tape, feel free to ditch the unnecessary pit stops. Your wallet and your schedule are going to thank you. And if anyone tells you otherwise, just nod, smile, let them keep throwing money at unnecessary maintenance. Some traditions are a little too hard for some people to break. Weird thing number 4. The bigger cars are safer myth, because bigger's always better, right? After all, if you're cruising around in a giant SUV or truck, surely it's the equivalent of driving around in a mobile fortress, right? Not exactly. While it's true that larger vehicles tend to fare better in certain types of crashes, like when a compact car meets a wall, this myth ignores a few key details. For one, crash safety is more than just size. It's about engineering, features, how well the car absorbs impact. A large SUV with poor crash ratings might actually fare worse than a smaller, better engineered car with top-notch safety features. And let's not forget the fact that larger cars are prone to rollovers. Ever seen a truck flip doing a sharp turn? It is not pretty. In fact, SUVs and trucks have a higher rollover risk due to their higher centers of gravity. So while your vehicle might look like it could take a hit from a freight train, it could also tip over when you're trying to avoid a pothole. Smaller cars today are designed with state-of-the-art crumple zones, side impact airbags, and advanced safety tech, all of which helps protect you in a crash, even if you're in something the size of a shoebox. So no, bigger doesn't always mean safer. In fact, sometimes it's just bigger, and that's about it. Weird thing number 3. The sport mode makes everything better myth, because who doesn't want to go fast, right? Sport mode. A lot of cars today have them. It's that magical setting that turns your everyday sedan into what feels like a race car, right? Wrong. The myth that sport mode always improves performance is a classic example of marketing geniuses at work. Sure, it sounds fun to imagine that with the push of a button, your car is going to transform into a Ferrari-esque beast. But in reality, sport mode is just a clever illusion. In sport mode, your car may shift at higher RPMs and make more engine noise that makes you feel like you're tearing up the track. But here's the truth. Sport mode simply adjusts a couple of parameters like shift points, throttle response, and steering weight to create the illusion of performance. It doesn't actually make the car more powerful. It just uses what's already there in a way that makes it feel sportier. But here's the catch. While you're zipping around town feeling like a race car driver, you're likely burning more fuel than you would in regular mode. And your ride is likely going to feel a bit more stiff and uncomfortable. It's the automotive equivalent of putting on a leather jacket and pretending you're in a rock band. You look cool, but the reality is you're just a guy stuck in traffic. So while sport mode might be fun for a few quick laps around the block, it's not a magic switch for better performance. Sometimes standard mode is the way to go for a smooth, efficient ride. Shocking, right? Weird thing number 2. Washing your car too often is going to damage the paint, because dirt is clearly protective. A myth that makes about as much sense as saying if you brush your teeth too often, it's going to make them fall out. Sure, it's tempting to believe that a layer of grime somehow shields your car like some sort of magic protective coating, but unfortunately, that is not how it works. The truth is, dirt, bird poop, tree sap, and other road gunk can be a lot more damaging than the occasional car wash. And while these contaminants sit on your paint, they can corrode the finish or scratch the surface over time. In fact, letting them sit there for weeks can be like inviting a slow-motion wrecking ball to your car's beautiful coat of paint. Now let's talk about the washing process. If you're using the right tools, like soft microfiber towels, car-specific soap, and a gentle technique, you're actually protecting your paint by removing harmful particles before they cause damage. The myth about car washes ruining the paint comes from using dirty rags, harsh chemicals, or improper techniques. So if you're using sandpaper on a wash mitt, yeah, maybe skip the wash. Washing your car regularly with the right tools isn't just safe, it's beneficial. Your paint is going to look better longer, and your car will feel like a fresh, clean showroom model every time you drive it. Dirty is not a good look, trust me. And finally, weird thing number 1, the red cars get pulled over more often myth, because apparently color is a crime. The basic belief is bright red is a beacon for law enforcement. It catches their eye, they can't look away, they have to stop you. So let's break this down. First of all, there's absolutely no statistical evidence supporting the claim that red cars are targeted more often by police. The truth is, color of your car has very little to do with how likely you are to get a speeding ticket. Cops don't have some secret red car radar that signals them to pull you over. The spoiler alert, they're more focused on how fast you're going, not what color your car is. The myth likely comes from the association between red and speed. After all, red is often marketed as the fast color. Think sports cars and Ferraris. People start believing that if you drive a red car, you're naturally inclined to drive like a high-speed chase. But in reality, it's not the color of your car that gets you pulled over, it's how much you exceed the speed limit. So, if you drive a red car, relax. People are not waiting to chase you down just because you picked a flashy color. Just drive within the speed limit, you'll avoid the flashing lights, regardless of your paint job. The cops don't care about your car's wardrobe. Well, that's it for today's episode. Hope you liked it. Maybe it dispelled a rumor for you that you've heard, or at least made you chuckle. Do me a solid, watch more of my videos. I would greatly appreciate it. Take care and have yourself a great day.